going on, guys? The Inside the Blue podcast, and today we're talking about the New York Yankees' struggles as of late. We know this team has struggled very much so in the month of June, and we are going to talk about it all, about the updates, and what I hope the Yankees can do to get out of this funk and get out of the month of June. But don't forget, let's like that video, like the subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Of course, tell all your friends about these videos. But let's get right into it, talking about the New York Yankees, our favorite team. But yeah, this month for the Yankees, it's been rough to watch. I mean, any Yankee game that I turn on my television, I know two of two things. I mean, this team is either just going to stink it up for 9 innings, score 2 runs, or they're going to make it, going to give us that false hope, and they're just going to blow the lead. This team does need bullpen help a lot, in my opinion. I think when you rely on only a certain amount of guys, and then you go to maybe a guy like Ian Hamilton or Mark Leiter Jr., who, in my opinion, I think isn't that good. I think the Yankees need more flamethrowers. I think they need guys that can throw hard, paint the zone, and not all these funky guys that don't throw as hard. I think we're in the state of the MLB that I need guys that throw, 96, 97 and are going to paint corners. Instead of, throw funk splitters and all that type of stuff. Now, of course, Mark Leiter Jr. does play a significant role. Ian Hamilton, I think, needs to be better. I think a lot, some of these guys need to improve a lot. I think Devin Williams has stepped up in a big way. They got Mark Leiter Jr. They got Luke Weaver back in this bullpen, which is huge because we all love the Weave, but yeah, I mean, this team's current record, 45-33. They do still lead the AL East despite a struggle in the month of June. And the month of June has never been nice to the New York Yankees in recent memory. But, this team has a 2-game lead against the Tampa Bay Rays. They have a 3.5-game lead on the Toronto Blue Jays, 5.5-game lead on the Boston Red Sox, and a very comfortable 11-game lead on the Baltimore Orioles. So, the thing is that they're 3-7 in their last 10. And, I mean, the Yankees are running out of time because the Tampa Bay Rays have played better baseball. Yeah, the Blue Jays are 4-6 in their last 10, but they're 3.5 games out. And when you're 3.5 games out, I think you have a pretty good shot at coming back and trying to win this division. Now, we're only in the month of June. It's not like the end of the season and playoffs are around the corner. This team still can make a lot of moves and a lot of pieces that can help this team, right? They have had talks, around the league of bullpen help. They need bullpen help. They've probably made a few phone calls for third base and maybe some other utility, but they have also talked about IKF. I don't want IKF. I don't want any business of Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He's not that good. I mean, IKF, you look at the numbers, yeah, he's batting, high average. His OPS is under 700. He's got a -4 on fielding, according to Baseball Savant. I don't want any part of IKF. I know they've had talks, and I know he's a utility guy. He can play all over. You can play him at second, you can play him at third. He won a Gold Glove at third, I believe. I don't want him here. I want better players. I wanted Eugenio Suarez, but he just recently got hit on the hand against the Chicago White Sox, so he might not be a piece for the New York Yankees in the upcoming future. I know the Mets are another consideration, but for the Yankees, they got to make some sort of upgrade to this team sooner rather than later. I think Brian Cashman is probably making a few phone calls around for bullpen and, utility. I don't think they're going to add a starter. I really don't think they're going to add a starter, in my opinion. You look at the guys currently on their staff, right? Your 1, 2, 3 with Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, and Clark Schmidt, I think has been good. I mean, Clark Schmidt has really, really done a nice job. His recent outing was fantastic. Throwing 7 innings, he had a career high 103 innings pitch, 103 pitches, not innings. But yeah, Clark Schmidt has been good, and that's good for the New York Yankees, so they don't have to just rely on the 1-2 punch of Rodon and Fried. Luis Gil is eventually going to return. He just threw some live BP. I estimate a return around late July, like July, anywhere in between a July 19th-ish, if I had to throw a date around there, probably mid-July. But yeah, the Yankees are 10-11 in the month of June. The batting average, The team batting average is the lowest amongst all the months. They're batting 246 in this month. Last month, I believe they batted 250-ish. So the numbers have declined, but this team is still a good offense if you look at it from an overall perspective. Now, with the New York Yankees, of course, it is led by Aaron Judge, who, he needs help. Aaron Judge needs help in this lineup, and you're not getting the production that you'd like. I mean, they just added Giancarlo Stanton back to the lineup that I really do like. I do like Giancarlo back in the lineup. Say what you want about Giancarlo. He's a good player and a player that the Yankees need. They need more power, but the problem that I do have is that I think they're trying to be the hero. I think they're all trying to hit the long ball and go for the home run, and that is not going to work. You can't always hit 5 home runs a game and think you're going to win the baseball game. And they got to get back to the fundamentals. They got to just get back to scoring boring runs. I mean, if it's just single, walk, or single, they got to get back to boring baseball. I know the home runs are fun and it gets all the fans excited, but we just need to see this team put together a good inning of runs. I mean, the amount of opportunities they had tonight, as I'm recording this video after their 6-1 loss against the Cincinnati Reds, they had a ton of opportunities, and they can't get it done. And there's a lot of people that the Yankees are pointing to, like Anthony Volpe, like Trent Grisham. Paul Goldschmidt's had a bad month. All of those guys. Things have got to change. Players have to step up. Aaron Judge isn't going to be the guy all the time. He had your home run at the start of the game, and then you don't score the rest of the game. That can't happen. Their on-base percentage, their slugging, OPS, all in the worst stages this month. The bottom line is that this team, needs to get out of the month of June, right? They got to. They got to find a way to get out of this month and find a way to keep the division, theirs, right? Right now, they're really letting a team knock on the door and, think they have a shot at winning this division. The Yankees need to get back to those ways where they were leading the division by 6.5, 8.5 games against the teams that are now 2 games and 3.5 games back of them. When you were behind 2 games, 3.5 games, you have a shot. You have a real shot at taking this division. Boston, 5.5 games, maybe not so. I mean, they just traded Rafael Devers, which was crazy to say. I mean, the package they got was very underwhelming, but to see him out of the division is huge for the Yankees. But getting back to the players that I just named, Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe in the month of June, he's batting .214, 15 hits, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs. Anthony Volpe has probably been the biggest talking point, in my opinion, of the New York Yankees lately. A lot of fans are heavily criticizing him. A lot of fans want him traded. Some fans want him DFA'd. I'd say a very small percent think that he is going to get sent down. He's not going to get sent down. He is your Yankee shortstop. There's nobody else that is going to take his spot. Oswald Peraza is not going to take his spot. Oswaldo Cabrera is hurt. George Lombard Jr. has a ways to go to get here. They just, DFA'd Pablo Reyes, who's now on the other side of New York. He's on the New York Mets. So this is your guy. Anthony Volpe is going to be your guy for the rest of the season. He is a guy that his bat, he hasn't been able to figure out the bat consistently. His defense, you could even say it's been a little bit underwhelming. If I'm not mistaken, he leads all shortstops in errors this season, and I mean, that's not acceptable. I mean, we know this guy can defend, and I don't know if it's the lights of New York or the pressure or the fans, but right now Anthony Volpe hasn't really lived up to maybe what some Yankee fans thought. I think a lot of Yankee fans thought this guy was going to be the next Jeter. Me, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say I thought Anthony Volpe was going to come in and be the next Jeter. No. When I figured out that his bat was going to be a roller coaster, I'm in that stage. I am unfortunately living the roller coaster for Anthony Volpe. And right now we are on the time of the roller coaster that it's going down. And we don't know when that roller coaster is going to go back up to the peak. But he's got to hit better. I mean, 214 in the month of June is not good. He has been very tough to watch. He's letting go of the bat. Seems like the torpedo bat isn't the fit for Anthony Volpe. The guy just needs to change his batting stance. I mean, I haven't seen a real adjustment of his batting stance. We saw all the adjustments that Aaron Judge has made, and he still is making adjustments. And I'm not trying to compare the two. But in the MLB, you have to make adjustments. You can't stay in the same batting stance for all 162 games. You can't do that. So I'm still waiting for Anthony Volpe to honestly make a significant batting stance change. Not just change the bat, not just go back to a normal wood bat instead of the torpedo. I'm talking about changing his hips, changing his arm angle, whatever it is that he needs to get the bat on the ball and put it in play and score runs. That's the problem. I mean, he's trying to swing for the home runs, and he's not the guy that's going to do that. I don't envision Anthony Volpe in his time with the New York Yankees to be a guy that's going to hit 25 home runs as a shortstop. I don't. I want, pretty decent average, 260 hitter. I don't think that's asking that much. Maybe 10 to 12 home runs a year and then just a bunch of RBIs. I don't think that's much to ask for Anthony Volpe. Paul Goldschmidt had a rough month. 157 batting average, 11 hits, 2 home runs, and 4 RBIs. Listen, I can't be that mad with Paul Goldschmidt. He could be a potential All-Star. Don't forget to vote in the All-Star voting. I hope to have a video of my prediction of who I think is going to start for the American League and the National League. It's a slump. Every player is going to have some sort of slump. Unfortunately, he had to have the slump when every single Yankee is, outside of Aaron Judge, really. Maybe select others, are struggling. Jason Dominguez, he just can't hit left-handed pitching. Trent Grisham batting .219 this month. He was going to eventually hit a cold spot. Now, more on Anthony Volpe. I don't want this just to be an Anthony Volpe rant, but the Yankees are struggling partially due to the fact that Anthony Volpe can't field right now. He can't hit. He's batting 222 with runners in scoring position in 2025. In 2024, if you want to compare the two, it wasn't better. In fact, it was actually worse. Anthony Volpe was batting 214 with runners in scoring position. This is what is... It's kind of weird to me. Anthony Volpe this season, when you look at the splits, he's batting 293 against left-handed pitching, but he's batting 207 against right-handed pitching. We live in an MLB world that, you're going to face, in my opinion, a majority of right-handed hitting. And that's probably why he has the batting average and the statistics that he has. So, and he's playing his best baseball hitting-wise, statistically. He's a .273 hitter in the 5-hole. You have every right to criticize Anthony Volpe. He's 24 years of age. He hasn't really figured it out hitting-wise, in my opinion. I still think he's a pretty good defender. In my opinion, maybe he's not going to win a gold glove at shortstop, but I still think he plays good enough defense despite all the errors. I still think he's a pretty decent average defensively shortstop. The problem that Yankee fans have is that he's not a Gunnar Henderson, he's not a Bobby Witt, or he's not an Ellie De La Cruz. So, if I had to say, should you be hitting that panic button on Anthony Volpe, I think you're pretty close to hitting it. Now, we are in the month of June, so, he could have a bounce back July, August, September, and then heading into October baseball. But you can't be hitting under 250 runners in scoring position. When you get to the playoffs and we need a big hit, we're not getting it out of Anthony Volpe. The amount of times he had it in that Boston series that the Yankees got swept in, and even other situations, Anthony Volpe isn't putting the ball in play and scoring runs for the Yankees. So, another thing, like I said, welcome back Giancarlo Stanton. He's back. He's going to provide, hopefully, a boost for this lineup. But another thing I want to talk about with Giancarlo Stanton is Ben Rice. Ben Rice doesn't really necessarily have a starting role with Giancarlo Stanton returning, right? He's not going to be your starting first baseman. You have Paul Goldschmidt. Ideally, you would think Giancarlo Stanton is the everyday DH, and catching-wise, Austin Wells has the spot. So what do we really do with Ben Rice? I mean, I'm going to leave it to you guys in the comment below of what should the Yankees do with Ben Rice. I mean, sending him down is not the right move. Ben Rice should be with the team at all costs. It's just, where do you play him, right? It's where do you play him. Now, you could make a case that maybe Giancarlo Stanton shouldn't be the everyday DH, and we should have Ben Rice hit. There could be a scenario with that, because ideally the goal is to have Giancarlo Stanton healthy for October. The Yankees have shown that they can win without Giancarlo Stanton. It's not like they're playing mid-baseball and then Giancarlo Stanton backs and they're better. They were playing good baseball without Giancarlo Stanton. But I need Giancarlo Stanton at 100% for October. Really to wrap it up, like I said, losing sucks. Hopefully this team does get better heading into July. They're 9-11 in their last 20. They have lost 3 out of 4 to the LA Angels. They got swept by Boston. They lost 2 out of 3 to Boston. They beat up Kansas City. They notoriously play good baseball against the AL Central. They beat up Cleveland and they beat up Baltimore. But anyways, guys, let me know your guys' thoughts on the Yankees' recent struggles. What should they do? Should they make a trade? Is there someone out there that the Yankees should trade for? But anyways, guys, that's going to do it. Of course, I am the Inside the Booth podcast. And of course, let's get to 300 subscribers. Hit the like, hit a follow, and of course, turn notifications on so you know when I post all the content. We've been uploading a ton of YouTube shorts recently that have been doing really good on the channel. Multiple hundreds of views. And of course, let's go Yankees. Let's get out of this mess. And don't forget, enjoy and stay safe out there, guys.